January 31st, 1945. Clark Air Base, Luzon, Philippines. Major Frank T. McCoy stood alone on the tarmac, camera in hand, staring at an aircraft that should not exist. Before him sat a fully intact Mitsubishi G4M Betty bomber. Tail number 763-12, abandoned, undamaged, operational. Not wreckage, not salvage. A complete enemy bomber, left behind as American forces advanced. McCoy had examined dozens of Japanese aircraft across the Pacific. Nothing prepared him for this. When he climbed inside the wings through the inspection panels, the truth revealed itself, and it would permanently alter American understanding of Japanese air warfare. The fuel tanks were completely unprotected. No self-sealing rubber, no armor, no fire suppression, nothing. Just thin aluminum, barely 2 millimeters thick, separating thousands of liters of high-octane fuel from enemy gunfire. McCoy understood immediately what he was looking at. No Western Air Force would design an aircraft this way, and yet this bomber had once ruled the skies. The aircraft that shouldn't have worked. The Mitsubishi G4M was nearly 20 meters long, with a 25-meter wingspan, powered by twin 14-cylinder radial engines. Its cylindrical fuselage earned it its Allied nickname, the Flying Cigar. But what made the Betty extraordinary wasn't its shape, it was its range. With a maximum reach exceeding 6,000 kilometers, the G4M could strike targets no Allied bomber could touch in 1941. Japanese planners believed this alone would decide the war, and at first, they were right. December 8, 1941, Clark Field. Just hours after Pearl Harbor, 82 G4M bombers lifted off from Formosa. Their target, Clark Field, the primary American air base in the Philippines. They arrived at 20,000 feet above American anti-aircraft fire. In minutes, runways were cratered, hangars burned, fighters were obliterated on the ground. American pilots never had a chance. In under an hour, U.S. air power in the Philippines ceased to exist. The Betty bombers departed untouched. 2 days later, they did something no aircraft in history had ever accomplished. The death of battleships. On December 10th, 1941, G4M bombers attacked Force Z, a British task force built around HMS Prince of Wales and HMS Repulse. Flying coordinated torpedo runs with deadly precision, the Betty struck both ships repeatedly. Within hours, both capital ships capsized and sank. 841 sailors died. For the first time in naval history, modern battleships defending themselves at sea were destroyed solely by land-based aircraft. The implications were staggering. Japanese air power now ruled the Pacific. The illusion of invincibility. Throughout early 1942, Betty bombers struck Darwin, Australia, Port Moresby, Guadalcanal, the Netherlands, East Indies. They flew from bases hundreds, sometimes thousands of kilometers away. Allied fighters simply couldn't reach them in time. The G4M became the symbol of Japanese reach and precision. But that dominance rested on one fragile assumption that the enemy wouldn't fight back effectively. August 8, 1942, Guadalcanal. 23 G4M bombers departed Rabaul to attack American positions. This time, American fighters were waiting. Over Tsavo Island, Wildcats intercepted the formation. 18 of the 23 bombers were shot down. Nearly 120 aircrew died in a single mission. Pilots reported the same thing again and again. Hit them anywhere, and they exploded. The Betty earned new names: Flying Zippo, one-shot lighter, Flying Cigar. What McCoy would later discover explained everything. The design decision that sealed their fate. Japanese engineers had made a deliberate choice. To achieve extreme range, weight had to be cut everywhere. Fuel tanks were built from thin aluminum. No rubber sealing, no armor, no redundancy. The weight savings, over 500 kilograms per aircraft, went directly into fuel capacity. It worked. but it created a single catastrophic failure point. Any hit to the wings meant fire, fire meant explosion, explosion meant death. There were no damaged Bettys limping home. They returned intact, or they never returned at all. American doctrine versus Japanese reality. American bombers like the B-17 and B-24 were heavier, sometimes by 2 full tons, because they carried self-sealing fuel tanks, armor plating, fire suppression, redundant systems. American doctrine was simple. Aircraft can be replaced. Crews cannot. Japanese doctrine made the opposite calculation. Range mattered more than survival. And when interception became routine, that philosophy became a death sentence. The burning sky. During the Guadalcanal campaign alone, over 100 G4M bombers were destroyed. Nearly 700 aircrew were killed. Losses mounted faster than Japan could replace them. By 1943, Betty missions were effectively suicide runs. Even attempts to add partial fuel protection came too late and did almost nothing. The aircraft's flaw was fundamental. Yamamoto's final flight. On April 18, 1943, Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto boarded a G4M bomber. American codebreakers knew his route. P-38 Lightnings intercepted the flight with near-perfect timing. A few hits to the wing. The bomber exploded. Yamamoto died in the jungle. The aircraft's vulnerability made the outcome inevitable. The last missions. By 1945, Betty bombers were used to carry piloted rocket bombs, kamikaze weapons. They never reached release range. Every formation was annihilated. The bomber that once terrorized the Pacific could no longer survive even minutes against prepared opposition. The final flight. August 19, 1945. 2 white-painted G4M aircraft, marked with green crosses, took off carrying Japan's surrender delegation. Escorted by American fighters, they flew peacefully, unarmed, symbolic. The same aircraft that had opened the war now helped close it. The verdict. The G4M, Betty, was not badly designed. It was brilliantly designed to meet requirements that assumed a short war, limited opposition, and expendable crews. Those assumptions were wrong. The bomber achieved extraordinary range at the cost of human lives. Thousands of men died because protection was traded for performance. Major McCoy understood it instantly when he looked into those empty fuel tanks. The Betty wasn't an accident. It was a decision. And that decision explains in one aircraft why Japan lost the Pacific War.